Okay. There are 11, it calls them tactics to encourage active learning. They're things that you can have students do to process what goes on in the class. What's the number seven? State the question at issue. What's the question at issue in this class? This is you're going to be doing right at the end of your class time, or you're going to be doing it. What was the question at issue last time? That's number six. I can say, okay, give an example of what I've said before, right? Last time we were talking about, well, let me ask one of you, what's something you teach? Someone volunteer your subject matter for me.
Gerald,
Okay,
I
Paul. All
teach
right.
yeah,
Okay, what
um,
do you teach, Paul?
a couple things, science communications, economics might be easier one, but science communications is what I
Okay.
primarily
Okay.
teach.
So, what's an important point to make that you would make to your students about science communication?
Audience.
Audience. Audience.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
you
I
you
gotcha.
you design for your audience,
You,
not
de- you design for your
not what you want to
audience.
say.
Okay. So here's what I'm going to say to students. Okay. So audience is a key part of science communication. Number two, elaborate on that, student. Students, elaborate on that in just 3 minutes or so. Uh, Number three, how is audience related? Number three, related to your own knowledge and experience. Write out a sentence or two. Give an example to clarify what we mean by paying attention to the audience in science communication. Make a connection between scientific communication and artistic communication. I'm choosing one off the top of my head. Um, I gave you instructions about what we were going to be doing in class today. I'd like you to restate them in your own words. I mean, many times teachers will say to their students, "You gotta read the syllabus." I'm hoping none of you say that, but many of us do say, "You have to read the syllabus." It's unrealistic. Students are by and large not likely to read your syllabus. No more likely than you are when you tap onto a website and it gives you these 4 pages that you have to consent to. Do you ever read them? No. Students are used to the syllabus in a course, so they feel they don't have to read them. If it's important for them to read the syllabus, then I'm going to have them process it. Tell me what the syllabus says in this section and tell me in your own words, not in the words of the syllabus. Give me an example of what you mean. Okay, so I've written these down. These are 11 tactics that you can use, but you can make up your own. Notice what's happening when you have students do it. They're starting to internalize their understanding of the concept because they're having to relate it to various things in the course and outside of the course. Okay, so I'm going to take this off for a moment and I'm going to by the way, that in the community online, you can find this in the Critical Thinker's Guide to How to Improve Student Learning. It's in there and you can find it in the community online. Okay. So, how many of you know about SEEI? SEEI stands for State, Elaborate, Exemplify, and Illustrate. So if you want to become clearer about something, this applies to students, but it also applies to us. State it clearly and concisely in a single sentence, maybe two. Second step, elaborate. Now explain the same thing at greater length, in greater detail, maybe in a paragraph or two. And then the third part is exemplify. And that means give an example of your own. So if I use Paul's science communication, I would have elaborated on it. And then I'd have given an example of science communication. I, the student, would come up with one. And the example I come up with cannot be the one that Paul gave in his class, and it can't be the one that was in the reading or in the notes. It's got to be my own example of science communication. And then I would give an illustration. I don't want to spend much time now with an illustration, but the rough idea is it's a picture or a picture in words. In English, we often use the word illustration and example interchangeably, but here we're using illustration in a different way. It means much more like what an illustrated book is. An illustrated book is not a book with examples, it's a book with pictures. So when I ask you to give an illustration, it would be a picture or a picture in words, more usually a metaphor or a simile, something that will bring it home to the reader. Somebody give me another subject matter that you teach. I know. So
It's a
what do you teach?
MATLAB fundamentals of MATLAB for first year engineering students.
Okay, so what's an important point about mechanical engineering?
It's MATLAB course, it's a programming course, and the main concept is help students to develop pseudocodes from a real world problems.
To develop it through real world problems.
Kind of breaking down problems and converting into programming form.
Okay. Can you give me an example of that? Of breaking down a problem into parts
Yes,
for
for
understanding?
example, like Paul said that in communication field, audience matters. So in engineering, it's stakeholders. So for example, if someone comes with a problem like I want to build an ice cream machine, but
Okay.
I have all these things, but I want specific these details. So
Oh,
maybe then breaking down that problem to smaller levels that
okay.
okay, that's okay, this is the parameters we need, this much of consistency you want, and this much is the quantity you want to get delivered at the end.
Oh,
So that's how it is.
okay, so let me give you a crude work at an illustration. It would be like you've got a family recipe for how to make something, how to make some elaborate food dish, and you're going to write that recipe down for something. Before you wrote it down, you just shake the 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 spice around in your hand until it feels right, and you put it in the pot. But now you can't just tell somebody to do it, so you're going to break it down.
Right.
That would be my illustration. Notice it's not
Mhm.
programming, but it's a kind of picture that conveys to the listener what it's like. That's what I mean by an illustration. SEEI is a very good way of having students process what goes on, increasing their understanding and their internalization. So let me ask you to take 2 minutes now and write down some terms or ideas that your students